It's been an interesting weekend. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to pack and ship out the orders that sold on eBay this past weekend. But before we get into it, my name is Brian, and I'm a reseller. I resell on eBay in the everything category. So I sell toys, tools, clothes, outdoor equipment, you name it. I'm probably trying to sell it on eBay for a profit. I go to garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, Facebook marketplaces, basically anywhere I can find good inventory to sell on eBay, trying to flip it, and again, trying to make a profit there. Doesn't always happen, but it usually does. All right. It's been an interesting weekend. Last week I had a goal to list 50 new items to kind of kickstart my store again. I got on Thursday, I think it was, or Wednesday, one of those days, I listed 10 new items and came back, I think that was on Wednesday. I had a busy day on Thursday, ended up having a junk removal job, so I went and did that. Friday, my wife took off, and we were working on our house. We're doing a house renovation. So we were doing work over there at the house. And so my thought was, okay, I'll make up for it Saturday and Sunday. I'll get up super early. And before we go back to work on the house and come over here and get some stuff listed. So I thought between 2 days I can list 40 items, no problem. You know, a couple hours each morning. And came in Saturday morning, and the manager was, usually they don't get here till on Saturdays like 9:30. So there's a lady that works here, comes in at 9:30, and I guess the district manager was in, because when I left I noticed his truck. But they open at 6 o'clock here, so if I get in at 6, usually I can get a few hours in by myself, uninterrupted. And the reason I say that is my unit is right next door. It's in the hallway to the manager's office, right there, the leasing office. So whenever they come out to do their rounds or do whatever, they're right here. And if I'm photographing clothing, which I was, I'm doing that out in the hallway, and I can't do that. So can't be blocking that up. So I come in 6 o'clock, dawdle around a little bit, get everything set up. 7 o'clock in the morning, the district manager comes, opens the place up, and I was like, what on earth? And usually when I hear them come in the office and start moving around, I take all my stuff out of the hallway and take it down. And I was like, dang it. So I got just a couple items. You know, by that time, I only had a couple items done. I was like, crap. So that kind of like ruined the rest of my day there. I was like, okay, I guess I'll go home, work on the house. The housework went pretty good until I stepped on a board that I had cut, and it started sagging down on top of the roof. This was up in the attic, and so I stepped sideways to try to catch my balance, and I put my foot right through the ceiling, which it was a part of the ceiling. It was right next to a part we'd already torn out, and so it wasn't a huge deal. We can patch it, but it was just like, but I did that, fell backwards, bruised my butt pretty good, because I fell right on a ceiling joist, like sitting in the sitting down position. And at the time I was like, oh, okay, I'll have a bruise. And it wasn't until later that day, after I had taken a break for like about an hour and a half, and I was like, holy moly, like I felt it in my back, I felt it in my neck, just the tensing up and kind of the sudden movement and all that stuff. So it could have been a lot worse. I mean, got a little scrape on my ankle from going through, and scrape on my arm from something up there, or just kind of like, I think it might have been because I buried my arm in insulation whenever I caught my balance. But so that was weird. I was moving around a little bit slower on Sunday because of it. So did that. Then Sunday morning, I did come in early again. I was like, okay, since he was here on Saturday, I don't think he'll be in on Sunday. Came in, and no one else was here, but my light sensor was going haywire, and the light would only stay on for like a few minutes at a time. I kept having the sensor was resetting. It was wacky. So again, I only listed a couple items. And I was like, okay, I'm done with this week. I'm just done with this week. Went home, had some breakfast, went over to work on the house. It was just a weird weekend. It was just weird. So, anyhow, that's how my weekend went, and I was like, okay, I got to change some stuff up here. I need to figure out a way, and I did. I'll put a picture up here. You see it. I did finagle a way to be able to get my photo stuff set up inside the unit to do clothing instead of out in the hallway. It's a lot of moving stuff around. I don't really like it. It'll work, but I don't really like it. And I don't know if you're like me. I was telling my wife about this, that if you have to get stuff down and set it up and then put it back and all that, it's really not that much work. It's probably 5 minutes each time worth of work, which isn't a lot. But you're just, at least for me, just less likely to list those things because mentally you're just like, I don't want to have to get the stuff down. And in your head, it seems like a bigger deal than it actually is, than if you just do it. I told her, I was like, I think if I had it set up to where it was just always set up, then I would probably be more productive listing. So we came up with an idea, and I say we, she came up with an idea, and as soon as she started talking about it, it's like, oh, I could do this and this and this, and I think I'm going to make some big changes right in here. Maybe tomorrow? Not doing it today. Today I'm going to ship orders. We go back. We're going to house a little bit solo to try to get ahead on some stuff. Because, again, I was moving slower after once I felt the pain, I was moving around a little slower. So I'm going to go back and try to catch up on some work. But I think we came up with a pretty good idea. And I'll bring you all along and show you what it looks like. But it's going to be pretty cool. But I got to change some things up. I need to be more productive. I need to be more efficient in this space. It is a small space. It's 10 by 15 storage unit, so I'm just going to make it as efficient as possible for all this stuff I'm trying to do in here. We'll see. Maybe it'll work. All right. Over the weekend, here's the other weird thing. Even though I listed some items, I only sold 3 items over the weekend. I can't remember the last time I only sold 3 items in a weekend. It's been a long time. The not listing as many items I thought it caught up to me the week before. This past week, it really caught up to me. I don't know. If I did a top 10, I'm trying to think if I sold 10 items this week. I think I may have. I didn't sell very many items this past week, I'll tell you that. So I sold 3 items over the weekend. And let's talk about them, because I got to pack them up and ship them out of here. This first one's going to be a little bit of a trick. I have shipped one of these before, but it's going to be this Coleman lantern I picked up at a garage sale for $6. It is a vintage, takes gas, like Coleman fuel, snaps into the base, and is funny. I actually brought it in here a while back to take pictures of it, and I never paid attention the whole time I was touching it and moving it around, that whenever I was going to take pictures, I took the fuel cap off, and when I did, it goes and I was like, holy crap, there's still gas in here. So I had to take it home, get the gas out, and I let it air dry for really a couple weeks just to make sure everything was evaporated. There's no more gas in there. But yeah, really cool piece. Like I said, picked it up for $6 at a garage sale. I sold it for $25.65 plus shipping. So now we're going to ship it out. I am cutting down a box for this one. Yeah, so let's see how this goes. I don't remember how I packed it last time. I feel like I did a little bit, like a layer of bubble wrap and maybe some shrink wrap around this part here. I mean, it is pretty tight fit, but yeah, I feel like that's what I did. So we're going to try that and then get the housing snap back on, and then we'll get it in this box. I'm going to keep track of the profit of everything. I mean, it was it was like a $55 weekend. So there's not going to be a lot of profit here to keep track of. Since there's only 3 items, we can ship them as we're doing them so we can get the profit for each item as we go. Get a little bit of bubble, some bubble. I think maybe I will put stretch wrap, and I mean just a little bit around there first, just to keep the I don't know what part is making the noise. I probably should have watched, I bet there's somebody who's done a video on packing a lantern before. I should have watched that to see, like, is there a best practice for packing this up? Okay, so we got some bubble wrap on there. I almost sold this. It was interesting, 3 sales, I got 1 per day. So this one came in Friday morning at like 9:30 or so. I had already packed up the item that I was shipping out from Thursday when this came in, and I was like, okay, I'll just save it for Monday. And and Saturday 1 order and Sunday 1 order came in. Like, man, it's just, again, it hasn't happened that way in quite a long time. And you get that handle. How did it? I'm trying to remember. Will that fit like that? The handle like that? Yeah, I guess it does. Okay. I think I'm going to put a little bit of shrink wrap. Just around the top there. I'd be interested, how many other people use shrink wrap or stretch wrap for stuff like this? I saw somebody had left me a comment saying that they really don't care for stretch wrap because I like to do that instead of tape. I'm not a fan of tape myself inside of a package. I mean, obviously you tape a box, but because you get to tear it off and it's kind of a pain in the neck, I feel like. Yeah, that's pretty good. And because it has a hard shell, I'm going to pack paper in here, but I'm not wrapping the outside of this. I'm going to use packing paper for my void fill. Leave a little bit of space there on the end. Use the marker here. Let's see. I wonder if I don't know if I'm trying to go for a certain size. That really shouldn't matter because I need. Yeah, I think I can get. Okay. Try to get it around 18-ish inches. Which means I want about 17.5 inside. All right, so normally what I do is I cut the end panel out, and then I cut it, do a straight cut here, and then I just retape the whole end panel on. Somebody had mentioned not doing that because you ruin the integrity of the whole box, which I completely understand. But instead, just to cut the box longer and then score it and then fold up the box to make your flaps instead of trying to reattach the end panel. And I have enough material here to do that. So I'm going to cut off the end panel, and then I'm going to do that. Try to fold up the extra box material as flaps, so then you have one piece of cardboard box. That's cool. It's like some 3M sticky things that were in the box with whatever that came with. Huh. I wonder if those will come in handy for something. Let's have to see. One thing I don't like about this type of box right here specifically is it's got a big seam on the bottom. There's a staple here holding it together. It came loose in here. That's not a horrible deal. I can fix that with, I can tape that part out. But, all right, so we're gonna score that here so it folds easily. Nice thing about corrugate is once you find a line to score, you generally have the lines in the corrugate to follow, which can be good. Let's see, and this is a double thick box, so that's going to be good for the lantern. I'm not going to need, this is the top flap, so I'm actually not going to need this part. Alright, this is the only box I'm cutting down today, which will be good. Don't have to drag you along cutting so many different boxes. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to score it in here as well, so I want to fold, actually separate it. Gotta fold part of these up. Okay, and that staple came loose. Yeah, I really am not a fan of the staples in the bottom of the boxes. Got a little too much height on that one. The flaps are taller than the box. Okay. I'm going to fold that flap over the end like that. Fold that flap over the end like that. Look at that. Let me just whole new end to a box, which is, it's not perfect, but it's a lot sturdier than just taping on an end panel. that to get started. Cool. I don't remember who suggested that, but thank you. And one thing I don't have here is I don't have this flap, but I can put enough tape on there. I'm gonna avoid fill. It'll be fine. Okay, let's get the lantern packed up. Get some paper on the bottom. Set the lantern in there. It's gonna be a nice tight fit on this one. So while we're packing, I'd be interested to hear how everybody else's weekend went. What sales look like for you guys and gals out there. Did anybody else fall through a ceiling? Not fall through, I didn't fall through it, but I put my leg through it. Anybody else put their leg through a ceiling this past weekend? Man, unless you were trying to, I hope not. But if you were trying to, good for you. Okay, so we got a little nest going on here. Got it all, it's like a little lantern coffin all wrapped up in there. One more piece and we'll get that bad boy taped up. It's 2 pieces, I can feel it. You know what I might do? It's just put a little bit of this old end flap right in here. I'm sure somebody was like, is probably on the other end of the screen here going, Brian, why don't you just use one of the old end flaps? Thinking, man, what a goofball this guy is. You wouldn't be wrong about that part. Whenever I see gaps like that, where you can see the paper through it, I do like to put just a piece of cardboard there. Okay, let's get some tape. Start with that, and we'll go a long ways. Hit the ends. in down here. Alright. Shouldn't need this anymore. Put that away. Set the tape down here. We're definitely going to need that. Alright, let's get the scale out here. We're going to be using purple for our thank you notes today. I can't remember if I've used purple recently. I think I used like a kind of a fuchsia pinkish color. I have a couple different purples. Let's see what we got here for weight. I do calculated shipping for 99.8% of my non-clothing items. 5 pounds and 14 ounces. I wonder what I put for my weight. Hopefully I rounded up and I did like 7 or 8 pounds or something, so I'll be covered. Let's get the shipping label. I did 8 pounds, so I was right there. Man, I said a 16-inch box. Why in the world, Brian, would you do that? The lantern was almost 16 inches by itself. That is called being a dum-dum. That is 18 rounded up by 10 by 8. I have a feeling, because the size is over but the weight is under, that it's going to end up being the same price to ship it. A lot of times it kind of balances out that way. Let's see. Where's it going? Marietta, South Carolina. That's where it's going, Marietta. Oh, no? Okay. I guess maybe because I had a 12 by 10, it was 10 by 8. Oh, and the weight is going to help. 5.14 instead of 8 pounds. So buyer paid $16.20. I'm paying $11.85. Wow. So that's an extra $4.35 shipping revenue. That's pretty good. Okay. See if we can get this. There we go. Printer synced up. I'm printing this through Bluetooth to my Munbin printer, which is just sitting right there. All my thank you messages are the same. Thank you for your purchase. Enjoy. And I just write it in the little blank space at the bottom of the USPS label if you print them off. Well, that was the hard one, so that wasn't even too bad, really. Now we'll move on to second order. Oh, let's go back and look at the profit. Let's see what we got here. So, order earnings, $22.64. Oh no, I didn't even write that down. I paid $6 for that, so it is $16.64 on my order earnings. My pre-tax profit after cost of goods. Yeah. Okay. Pick this up at second item that sold. This sold Saturday morning. Is this vintage Tupperware servalier. This is like a salad bowl, and the reason I say that is because you have the salad bowl, and then you have the cups or the little bowls. Brand new, still in the bag, from Tupperware. There's 6 of them here, little cereal or salad bowls, what they are. So they're just going right in there, and then with the lid. I picked these up in Iowa at a really cool garage sale. It was a little more of an estate sale. It was I think two brothers and a sister. It was out in the country on a little farmhouse in an outbuilding behind the farmhouse. And I say an outbuilding. It wasn't like a pole barn or something. It was like a nice building that was air conditioned. And they had a ton of great stuff in there at good prices. We bought a handful of things for personal use. But then they had stuff like this, and they had some really cool stuff. There's a little bit. Yeah, I don't like that. This one stuff is moving around inside. I'm going to put a little bit of. Put a little bit of paper right there, just to keep it from sliding around. I think that'll do it. There we go. Like that, much better. So we picked this up for $7 and sold it on sale. So I did run a store sale, so I ran 22% off this week, and that might have affected. I've been doing 25% off, so that could have affected my sales. I pulled back. I said I pulled back to 22% off for the store sale, my entire store for the weekend, which was Friday morning through Sunday at midnight. So $7 turned into $19.41 plus shipping. Let's see, I had a box for this set out. Oh, there we go. Should go in an old Amazon box. Not doing any wrapping on this. I'll put a little paper in here to hold it still, but that thing is going to be just fine the way it is, like that. And one thing I keep forgetting to do, somebody mentioned they do it, I've done it just a couple times, is instead of putting my thank you note on the label, just write it on the inside of the box, which I think is kind of like a little surprise whenever you open the box. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to write the regular thank you note on the label, but I'm going to put a secondary note on the inside of the box. So I'm going to keep this one a secret. You gotta order something if you want to find out. All right, we got that. Note number 1 done. Let's get the tape in here. Let's see how much this guy is going to ship out for. How much money can we make right on this guy right here? All right. I always do put a blank shipping label on top of my package. I don't think I remember to last time, but I do to get the most accurate shipping weight whenever I'm putting my shipping labels. 2 pounds, 8 ounces. 2 pounds, 8 ounces on that one. We're shipping a 15 by 11 by 6. Yep. 15 by 11 by 6. I got a 4 pounds, so we'll see. 15 by 11 by 6. Dimensions are a little bit smaller overall. Going to Lynn, Kansas. Linn. Yeah, so buyer paid $8.59 for shipping. I'm paying $7.65. I like that. Make what, 35 cents, 94 cents on my shipping label. 94 cents extra, which is important. I think you can build, you can build in your pricing so many different ways on eBay. You can do free shipping. You can do calculated shipping at the exact weight but have a higher price. You can do calculated shipping with a lower price and build in a little buffer. You can do flat rate shipping and build in a buffer. There's so many ways you can make your money on eBay. Just make sure, just in case you happen to be a newer reseller, you're paying the selling fee, not just on the item, but on the sales tax and the shipping. So you're paying fees for the whole ball of wax for eBay handling that for you. So just make sure you're not thinking the fee is only coming out of the product price, because that's not accurate. See what kind of profit we can make on this guy right here. What did we do? What did we do? Okay. Order earnings $15.33. I paid $8.33. Not a great one on that. Not a great one. Oh, I just saw something out of the corner of my eye. I've sold a bunch of these and I've talked about them a little bit, but don't pass these up. If you go to garage sales or estate sales, you see this older Bath and Body Works stuff. I picked this up at an estate sale that I stopped at. This was $2. They had it marked in two places, but $2. It is completely full. Strawberry spritz again. Be happy. It is I don't know if it's the vintage, just a scent or the package, but these are selling between 25 and 40 bucks on eBay. So it's like $2. Yes, please. So that's going to get listed tomorrow whenever I come in and do the fun stuff here in the storage unit. All right, let's look at, so we're up to $24, $24.97 in profit so far. Okay. Next up is this set of, this is the Left Behind series from Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins. I read these books as a kid. I was never a big reader, and then I found these books. Someone at church had recommended them to me, and they're like, man, this series is really cool. And I bought those books, and I was just like, it was so awesome, because it really was a very kind of like a modern interpretation of, events, the rapture and the last days events in the Bible. And it was so descriptive, and it was just really good. And man, I could not wait. Books weren't published like every 2 weeks, so you'd read a book and it's like, wait for 6, 8, 10, 12 months. As they started doing more and more of them, they got a little bit more frequent, but right away they weren't just publishing them constantly. So any case, so I thought these were pretty cool when I found them at this estate sale. It was on Everything's $1 day, and picked up this set for $1. So I don't know if I did these media mail or not, but I did sell them for $10.05 plus shipping on 22% off. Oh, those are, I didn't say. They're audiobooks, they're cassette tapes. These are old school. If you see books on tape, depending on what it is, I mean, it'd be worth a look. I've sold a few books on tape type stuff. There's still people that are listening to, you know, books that way. So don't sleep on them. I mean, if you listen to them, it might put you to sleep. I don't know, but. All right. It's a good box for those. Done with that. Done with that. We're done with the scissors. I forgot to write the note inside. It's probably because I'm not used to it yet, but I'll make sure and put the note on the label. All right, get shipping label. Yeah, I did medium mail. Okay. So it's 2 pounds, 3 ounces. I had 3 pounds. I don't know. Medium mail is kind of wacky, so I don't know how much that's going to matter. I don't know the rules and regulations for medium mail. And I forgot, I was on the other packages. Somebody messaged me and they were talking about price breaks and how I should round up to the next pound. Because it doesn't matter in shipping, like the cost. 10 by 7 by 8, and I didn't check that out. But it's just like a little bit of a buffer, so you're not an ounce or so off. You get an overcharge. Yeah. Buyer paid $5.97, I paid $5.97 for shipping. Going to Mobile, Alabama. Package number 3. Cardboard down there. Put a marker up there. All right, now let's see what kind of profit we're looking at there. See, I put up my marker too soon. $6.99 profit order earnings. I paid $1, $5.99. $30.96. So we were at $55 plus 6. I'm going to say 61. I'm rounding up a little bit just to figure out what the profit margin is. 61, 850, 69, 60. 85, 80. Let's see what that leaves us with. Most people don't care about this. So that's a 34% profit margin. Not great. None of them were great profit margins. That's for sure. Usually to get the profit margin, if you want a 45 or 50% profit margin, you're doing calculated shipping. A lot of times you want to get like a ×4 or ×5 even price above your cost of goods. And most of those, I was about 3 times my cost of goods, which means your profit margin is going to be lower. So profit dollars, definitely what you pay your bills with. Profit margin for me is a kind of a map, or a guidepost to say, hey, you're pricing your stuff appropriately. Definitely would have had more profit if I didn't have a sale going on, but I might not have had the sales. So you just never know. But so $30.96 goes into my pockets pre-tax. So 25 to 30% of that will go to the IRS. Yeehaw for that. And that's it. That's everything for today. It's been a little bit of a video. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but if you stuck around, I really appreciate it. If you have any comments at all, questions, anything like that, just drop them in the comment section below and I'll make sure and get back to you. And until next time, have a great day.